Here we are in episode 21 of the Simple Success Podcast. This is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. When you change you change everything. Last week, we talked about respecting your time. This week, the pod is about what if I save too much? This is the section of the pod where I explain a little bit about the concept, which is the topic of the show. I call it the what section. Even though this title sounds very much like a ridiculous question, some people ask it. A question that made its way to the CBS-owned Marketwatch is, I have a 7-figure nest egg. Am I saving too much for retirement? Another one is, I'm a 32-year-old stay-at-home mom, and my husband earns $150,000 a year. Will I ever be able to enjoy a retirement? These are from a list of real questions, and they're missing the point, even though the well-meant answers include the air quotes advice that some people postpone certain areas of their lives in order to reach their end game. The real question is, will I ever be able to enjoy a retirement? The bits about being 32 with a husband earning $150K a year is a meaningless distraction from the goal. Remember, retirement is when you don't need income from a primary job. That's it. There are many ways to achieve that, which is a different topic for later. Retirement accounts can be specific and individualized investment advice, which requires a special federal license on this or any other platform. Don't confuse the two. We will not get caught up in complicating ideas such as enjoy today, live for the present, and especially not you deserve. I agree with the idea of yielding to the present. I separate that, though, from living for the present. Having an emergency fund is important. You really should have some emergency money, but that's not the key word here, and we're not about to come up with an exhaustive list to do that either. Listen, this is quality of life talking. It's the for. I live for me. If that sounds self-centered, well, it is a little bit, but not too much. We all need to be a little bit self-centered, just not so much that we trample on other people. We can be a little bit self-centered and still have that all-important growth mindset. And we can enjoy today in respect to our personal goals without that being an absolute sacrifice of tomorrow. It also means we don't need to focus on the expense of today, not because no one should, but because we've got that covered. Remember our super simple method of answering the when can I retire question. Determining retirement age, it turns out, is not all that hard. Having money in retirement is not that hard either. In our growth mindset universe, we don't have eithers and ors. Our advertising is just simple answers and approaches. That's the complete list. It's not always that easy, though. Financial advisors, and remember, I can say this because I used to be one, financial advisors are trained to, air quotes, walk you through deep dives into your situation. It can be worth the extra money, but tell me if this sounds familiar. Quote, if you want to retire at age 64, you're going to have to be prepared, at least for the first few years, to give up those annual vacations and reduce your rate of, etc., etc. But then, ... It sounds great, I admit. I cannot tell you, however, how many times I have watched people's eyes glaze over as they silently plead for their big-brained advisor, and in recent years, their big-brained advisors' analytics activities and analytics providers, to get to the point. Not another speech about unexpected expenses, financial security, and a good financial plan. But first, the kicker. You're not even spending any of that retirement savings. That's distracting, but they call that financial advice. But the reality is a cost 100 times worse. Keep it simple, and I don't mean sort of simple, I mean really simple. A question like, what percentage of my current income will I need to replace once I retire, and how will that number change throughout retirement is not simple. Similarly, a question like, how much will I need to withdraw from my savings in order to meet my cash flow needs in retirement is not simple. That one is simpler, but it's still not simple. I'm reminded of the iDVD story, where Apple had acquired this company who made what became the personal DVD burner. Their original product took a genius who could apply something like 500 steps to a difficult piece of machinery, and they were proud that they'd reduced the number of steps before meeting with Steve Jobs. Jobs took 0 looks at the existing product. He said, I want a product where a user can drag and drop one file onto the thing and a correctly burned DVD comes out. That's it. And that's all the harder saving for retirement has to be. Now, a more reasonable thought is that it's possible to save too much for retirement by doing things like making general assumptions, or worse, ignoring months of expenses. And you can take steps to refine and improve your projections if that's your thing. But even that isn't the worst that could happen in life, right? So what if you save too much? I mean, sure, you need to enjoy life now, but really, you need to enjoy life then, too. And it doesn't have to be either or, like I said. So back to saving too much. What does that mean? What does your browser tell you? You have to give more to your kids, you have to give more to your favorite charities, and worst of all, you might have actual choices. Hello everyone, this is John with the Simple Success Podcast. Financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please head over to https://anchor.fm/ Simple Success. That's one word, Simple Success / support. There, you can choose from a $9.99 per month doer level of support, a $4.99 listener level, or a basic intro level of just 99 cents per month. That's not much when you compare it to a stockbroker, right? And this is so much more sensible. To leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast, go to https://anchor.fm/ Simple Success. Again, one word, Simple Success / message. I won't repeat those links because weird, and anyway, show notes. What if I saved too much? Once upon a time, our hero Daniel Rose found himself in a very curious situation. He was getting on a bit, at least for this story, and was seriously thinking about doing something other than getting up every morning and heading down to good old XYZ Company. He'd seen talk about the next phases of life on his various social media platforms. Sometimes we call that retirement, but that's another topic. We'll avoid that rabbit hole today. Daniel and his financial goals. Guess what Daniel did? He saved too much. This wasn't exactly on his bucket list, and he had some time to live, of course, unlike his grandfather who died 2 years after retiring. Still, he'd taken some basic math in school, and even though it was not a prestigious private school, he was still able to figure that he needed 10 kaflumps to make it all the way through retirement. He instead found himself with 50 kaflumps. Now, what was he going to do? Get another gym membership? Establish new lines of credit? New credit cards? Was he supposed to live 5 times longer than planned? Daniel didn't think that was something he controlled. Like you and me, Daniel could control things like his cookie preferences and his language preferences, but he didn't think he could control living 5 times longer than planned, at least not by most conventional advice. And so he didn't. We'll give him credit for not wasting his own time on that or trying to get some different integrated advice. Back to the 50 kaflumps. Apparently, our Daniel made some pretty good investment choices along the way. What else could he do? He certainly wasn't going to just give it air quotes all to the government. Some investment income needs to stay home, you know. I mean, who knows what them revenue is going to do? Not even our editorial team can know that. Oh, wait a minute. The children. They could always get those 40 extra kaflumps, couldn't they? No kids? Not planning on any? Not in your standard device settings? Okay, then what are often called charities might work for you. I say often called because I want to make sure that the thing, whatever it is, really floats your boat. Charities, in my definition, are what you focus on to get tax benefits if you want or need them, the sort of thing a business insider might do. If those kind of financial decisions aren't your thing, then maybe you are inspired by outer space, or under the ocean, or cats or dogs or photography. You could donate to something like that. You might even create a foundation to fund something related. All this could be part of your saving strategy, and you can and will eliminate the worry of excess savings. And our Daniel got this completely. Personalization cookies applied. Using his imagination and his brain, he realized that the whole idea of saving too much was nothing more than a ridiculous distraction. So we'll be back with our CTA, our call to action, right after the break. In this Simple Success podcast, as well as in our webinars and masterclasses, we are very, very much going to want to hear your story. Well, to be real, I mean in future episodes of the podcast's webinars and masterclasses. This means you. Your participation is critical to our mutual simple success. It's important to know how you think, what you've thought, what you've tried, and what you've been unsure of trying. As we told you at the beginning, and as you also find in the show notes, we have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a voice message, which just might see the light of day in a future podcast. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know when that happens. Together, we're going to make it great. We're going to do what even we didn't think possible. We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. The reason every podcast asks you this is because when you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. This means better rankings, more attention from advertisers, and more money, and that means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Oh, and don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. Remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Right after this, we'll explore some more important details you should know. But for now, use your imagination to help create your story. Next week, we're going to look at another concept, and that is simple but not easy. That's so crazy, you know that got picked for me by my topics randomizer. I'm not prepackaging this stuff, but instead making it relevant so we can all, me included, learn how to do this right. We're going to bring that into the world of investing, and it's going to be a great episode. But for now, remember, Happy Brother's Day. I mean, all you need to do is practice, after which you'll get good. Gracias por escuchar. A la prochaine. For this podcast, the host and audio guy is me, John C. Brandy. My seagull example, and I'll explain that later, Shola, Salako, fact checker, Abraham Lincoln, French consultant, Virginia Mitchell, media expert, Favour, Obasi-Ike, psychologist, Sigmund Freud, rabbit hole advisor, Dr. Marg, Perrott, sound designer, Gugliemo, Marconi, Spanish consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy, and videographer, Alfred, Hitchcock. Music critic, Cute by Ben Sound from www.freesound.org.